My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me now and we will explore these topics and so much more with fascinating guests, authors, and experts who will guide us to Destination Unlimited. If a collective spirit of the feminine divine manifested in the name of the Egyptian goddess Hathor, what message would they share with today's world? My guest this week on Destination Unlimited, Dr. Yafi Yair's relationship with Hathor began with the first time they came forward for her to channel, along with the process of merging with this beautiful collective consciousness as she integrated their flowing and loving essence into her life in more personal ways than she could have ever imagined. Dr. Yafi Yair is a clinical psychologist, multidimensional channel, and author who bridges science with the unseen realms. With more than 2 decades of experience, she channels Hathor, earth spirits, fairies, and extradimensional beings, delivering profound guidance on consciousness, healing, and humanity's evolution. Her website is YafiChanneling.com, and she joins me this week to share her path and latest book, Conversations with Hathor, Channeling the Feminine Divine. Please join me in welcoming to Destination Unlimited, Dr. Yafi Yair. Welcome, Dr. Yafi.
Hello, Victor. Thank you for having me.
And thank you so much for joining us and sharing your amazing story with us today. So, Dr. Yafi, did you have any sense of your gifts when you were a child? And if so, why did you adopt a traditional path later?
Yes, so I definitely had sense of my gifts as a child, but I don't know if I would call them gifts when I was a child. Because when I was a child, those gifts are what made me a little more unique, you could say. So I was one of those weird children. I'm sure there were more out there, but not around me growing up. So I was one of those weird children trying to levitate with the power of my mind, trying to move objects with the energies coming out of my hands, and all kind of other strange ideas that I had that nobody knew where I got it from. Definitely not from my family and my environment, which was not into any woo practices or interests at all. So from very little, from a very young age, I had that knowing that I was different, that I had ideas of extraordinary reality, and that I believed in something magical that on one hand was shared by other kids, but I was aware that in my constitution, it went a step further than anybody else around me, children or adult.
And in your growing up, did you ever have any kind of contact that you would consider like extraterrestrial contact?
Absolutely. So at age 8, which from my recollection is more or less the age where I put aside anything unusual, really. But at age 8, I was playing outside with my friend. It was daylight. And all of a sudden, we saw this light shining in the sky. Again, daylight, so there were no other lights in the sky, just this one that looked like it was looking back at us. And we just looked at it in awe. And all of a sudden, it did 3 rounded zigzags, decreasing in size, and shot off into space. And we looked at each other. Did you see this? Did you see this? Yes, that's incredible. And we were both just blown away. And I knew that I saw something extraordinary. I knew that it was beyond. I had the knowing that it was more than what I just saw, but that I couldn't quite wrap my head around it. So all I had was this beautiful light shooting off after zigzagging, shooting off into space, but I knew there was more to it.
Any visits in spirit from departed family members?
Absolutely. And that has been a part of my journey as an adult, a part of my most personal um, aspect of my awakening, because approximately 13 years ago, my mom crossed over. She transitioned to the other side. And we were very, very close, and it happened very, very quickly. So it was a real shock to my system. But at the same time, it made any questions that I had regarding the spiritual world and regarding the reality of spiritual existence, all those questions became very personal and very urgent. And I really wanted to connect. I wanted to meet my mom. I wanted to know for sure that there was life beyond. And I began inviting my mom to communicate with me in different ways. So I began practicing lucid dreaming and inviting my mom to come through first dreams that then became astral visitations in the astral plane. And I had several really wonderful experiences through that, anywhere from a hug that felt so physical. I could feel my mom's skin and bones as I was hugging her, and other really interesting experiences, to other visitations that manifest in this physical density reality, like inviting her to leave to communicate through signs, electrical signs, and having the microwave turn on by itself and spin by itself more than once, or having volume of a stereo go up all the way by itself, and all kind of other signs in the physical. And of course, there is also the mental communication that I have been developing in the past 13 years or so, becoming more psychic, more connected, and getting messages directly, which I will say is easier to do for other crossed loved ones than to do my own, because there are a lot of reasons for that. But with my mom, it's been either mostly through astral visitations, um, through, like I said, signs or manifestation here, or getting messages through other psychics and mediums rather than through me. So these are the main ways I've been getting communication, and specifically from my mom, but other crossed loved ones as well.
And what message would you share with others about what happens in the afterlife?
The messages that come across regularly when I do readings to clients. Um, so I do readings and channelings. When I do readings, is me tapping into the person's field, and often crossed loved ones come through the readings. When I do channelings, I channel more general guides such as Hathor or even Jesus and many others. So it's better for broad picture messages. So it really depends. But when we do readings, let's talk about the message for readings that people get on a very personal level. Often, you know what? Readings and channelings, we can actually generalize here and say that recently, a lot of the messages focus on people's being able to take care of themselves, to be compassionate within themselves, and especially knowing that these times that we are living through right now are times of such intense changes. People are experiencing it in different ways. Some people are aware of the changes, but just don't know how to keep their head above the water as they feel all these intense energies. Other people don't know what to attribute what they're experiencing to. Others, on the other hand, are really plugged into the news and world affair and feel all the suffering of humanity and not sure what to do about that. So different people are struggling with different aspects of their reality, but there is this common denominator of this feeling, this either knowing or just feeling of these rapid changes. And
Mm,
the guides confirm that this is true. These are times of intense changes. And this is an even more of a reason to be patient and compassionate towards the self. To
pres-
take some time to unplug from the news, to unplug from any disaster thinking or doom scrolling, or even from your friends and family, people that really tend to surround themselves with the news and the fear, to know how to unplug from it so you can derive strength from people around you and from nature rather than allow yourself to sink under pressure or fear or sadness.
Absolutely. Personal share. I grew up in the 1950s,
Mm-hmm.
and in 1958, I was 5 years old. And I would have visitations from what I called my teachers. And they would take me to a
Mm-hmm.
special classroom and they would
Mm-hmm.
teach me things that I had no other source for in
Mm-hmm.
my normal life, including giving me an interest in electronics. And when
Mm-hmm.
other boys in my age in those days would want toy soldiers and they would want sporting goods, I wanted to build crystal radios. So I have a complete
Mm-hmm.
understanding of what you're talking about. And I've
Yes.
had these things happen many times in my life. What would you share with parents whose children are demonstrating intuitive gifts?
Yes, and that's very common nowadays. I have, again, a lot of clients that come to me with usually the parents come because their kids are experiencing anxiety. That's how the parents see it. I see a picture when the parents are experiencing a lot of anxiety as reaction to what's happening with their children and them not knowing what to do about it. Because a lot of the children coming in today are extra sensitive and extra open, so just to give parents an idea, one very common, we can call it symptom, sign that your kid is sensitive is being afraid of the dark. So this is not something that they teach you in psychology school. So this is not something that you're likely to hear from psychologists in general or other professional practitioners. However, I discovered from my experience that children that are sensitive, they have some sense of things happening around them to different degree of awareness, are often afraid of the dark. And that fear is because of that sense that something else is there that they cannot see or that others cannot see, cannot share that knowing with them. And what I really suggest that parents do is become open and listen to their children. So, as parents, there's this tendency of wanting to fix everything. So, brushing away something is just a bad dream may seem like an assurance to the parent, but to the children, it may seem as they're not being believed or this is not real. Even they don't know how to reconcile the idea that it feels so real to them. But the parents who know so much more say that it's not real. So just staying supportive and staying open and not having to jump to answers can be very, very helpful. And generally, the more you're able to support your child, the more they're likely to open up to you and the more they're likely to become more comfortable with what they're going through. And I can offer one thing that I used to do with my children, that not my children, that my clients that were children, is that I used to make these sprays. I still make them, but I don't. Anyway, I used to make these sprays. They're just water and some different essential oils, and parents can make it themselves and use calming essential oils such as lavender. Um, Spearmint is nice and is not as intense as peppermint. There are different ones you can use, and you can even have you and your child make them together. So it can be something that smells really, really good to the children, to the child. And I used to say to the children, and I believe that, so it's not a lie, that this is our protective spray, our magic protective spray. And we would shake it and we would spray and breathe it in and now know that this environment is fully safe and protected. And that plus practicing small exposure of being with your child in the dark, getting them used to it and reminding them they're safe was a really good combination in helping children begin overcoming the anxiety and accepting what's happening to them And really being open and acceptance is the first step.
Absolutely. Better than being told, as I was when I was 5 years old, that I had an overactive imagination and not to talk about it, right?
Exactly. That's what I was told as well. My whole life as a child, I was told I had overactive imagination. And my mom generally called it nonsense. Anything that I believed in that was unique and special, she saw as nonsense.
Well, I share that with you. I completely understand. Please share with us your later path and how you journeyed from clinical psychology to multidimensional healing.
Yes, so mentioned a little bit that in my personal life, I had a spiritual awakening, and the transition of my mom made it very personal and urgent and made me go even deeper into that spiritual awakening. And at the same time, I was completing my doctorate in clinical psychology. And I started really feeling that I needed something more open-minded, and more expansive than the mainstream clinical field. And at first, I found it through hypnosis. I was fascinated. I still love hypnosis. I still practice it and love it. At first, I found it through hypnosis, clinical hypnosis, treating trauma, chronic pain, etc. Then I discovered Brian Weiss with past life regression, which made hypnosis so much more exciting and even more delving into the subconscious and spirituality. And then I discovered Michael Newton and Dolores Cannon, which is an even deeper state of hypnosis where you speak directly to the higher self and subconscious and get information that way. And so I just really got excited about the practice of hypnosis, about its overlap with my spiritual work, whether it was energy work or psychic readings and intuition. And that became more and more and more my world, moving away from the clinical field, although still offering counseling and hypnosis, but generally speaking, more and more moving into the spiritual aspect of it all. And then, approximately 5 years ago, during the COVID shutdown, I discovered I signed up right before, but during the COVID shutdown, I did this training to become a channeler. And the training was several months long. It was very extensive with different breath work and body work and meditations and practices. But there was so much time to invest, and it was just kind of the perfect time in my life for it. And I really dove in with the practice, and channeling completely became my world. It took everything that I've been doing, meditating every day. I've been going to the Monroe Institute also for 12 years now. And all this work really culminated into me becoming a channeler and allowing those different sources and guides and messages and energies to really go through me and allow myself to be a bridge to other realms in the full sense of the word. And also taking my spiritual journey in that way to the next level, as all the spiritual lessons that before that I was already on the process of internalizing and applying. I was really called on taking everything to the next step and really walking the spiritual walk um, in the most intimate and practical levels possible.
It truly formalized everything you had known since you were a child.
Exactly. Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Before we discuss your latest book, Conversations with Hathor, please share with us what inspired your previous work, Conversations with Earth, and what you shared with your readers.
Oh, that Conversations with the Earth is my first book that I published a couple of years ago. And it's such a fun book because it really captures the wild journey of a new channeler. And in this book, I called many different sources first actual earth elements like fire consciousness, wind, water, then the moon, and more galactic sources, the Zetas, the Arcturians, the Pleiadians, and ask them questions about humanity, about the shift that currently is occurring, and what wisdom can they offer from their unique perspective. So this wild ride of different sources, different galactics, different collectives, different councils, and anyone that you can imagine that is of a high vibrational and had good, wise messages to share with humanity at this time. And so the book is channeled material organized with all this wisdom from all these sources. And it's really just, and the audiobook is narrated by me. So you can buy it in physical book, you can buy it in ebook, or you can do the audiobook. And because it's my voice, you also have that frequency. So it's as close as possible to being there and hearing the channelings.
Is there one specific message that the earth wants us to listen to and truly hear?
Yes. The earth right now is leveling up. She is going up another octave, and we're a part of that. We are a part of this beautiful system that we call Earth. She is alive, she is real, and we're a part of her. So we are upgrading and leveling up with her as well. And one of the beautiful messages that were received during this book about the earth and this change that she's going through, that we can see this change as earth going through puberty. Now, when we think about humans going through puberty, we're aware of the instability, the emotional up and down, even the appearance, right? Our skin is not the clearest, or all these like turmoil, really. And that's what we're seeing here with the earth as well. However, the force that's driving puberty is not chaos, it's not suffering. The force that is driving puberty is growth, is maturation. And that is what we're seeing right now with the earth. As we're being pushed through the needle into the next octave, into the next level, we're seeing chaos, we're seeing turmoil, but what's really being driven here is the growth and maturation of humanity as a society and as a civilization.
My guest is Dr. Yafi Yair. We're going to be talking about her latest book, Conversations with Hathor, Channeling the Divine Feminine. Dr. Yafi, please share with our listeners where they can get both of your books and find out more about you and your wonderful work.
Of course, you can find my books on Amazon. You can also find them in Barnes & Noble and any other bookstores. You can also buy them from me directly from my website, yafichanneling.com. That's YAFI channeling.com. And if you do want the book signed, that's the only way to do it. Only if you buy it through me directly through my website, or if you email me, then I can sign the book and send it to you with your message.
Wonderful. And we'll be back with more of Dr. Yafi after these words on the Om Times Radio Network.
The cutting edge of conscious radio, Om Times Radio, IOM FM. Om Times Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Om Times, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Back on Destination Unlimited, my guest this week is Dr. Yafi Yair. We're going to be talking about her book, Conversations with Hathor, Channeling the Divine Feminine. Dr. Yafi, what inspired that book?
Well, what inspired that book is all the experiences that I've had with Hathor, the Divine Feminine, channeling that super wise and loving, nurturing source. I felt people would really benefit from more people. So the book is really a transcription of all these sessions where I channel Hathor. And the group that I'm meeting with, we still meet every Sunday. So the group I'm meeting with, they would ask questions and I would channel the answers. I would stay in that channeled state and Hathor would answer. And we got so much out of this, as I said, wise and very loving, very nurturing essence, and really transformed my life and those of people around me. And I felt it was so important to share these messages with a wider audience so other people can benefit from all those different messages, points of perspective, and knowledge. We are being asked as humans right now, as a part of our evolution, we're talking about the shift, we're talking about evolving. We're really being asked to expand ourselves in every way possible, including our cognition and intellectual abilities. We're being asked to understand concepts more complicated and more advanced and abstract than ever before. And this is a part of my journey with Hathor or the Hathors, depending how you want to conceptualize them. So I really felt it was important to share the book so other people can begin familiarize themselves with this essence or put have some understanding into the essences they are already being familiarized and interacting with, because Hathor is just one name of this essence. If we are generalizing, we can talk about the divine feminine, which is a more general essence that is returning to our earth, to our planet today, rising again in its significance in each and every one of our lives. So when we're talking about humanity, it's very general, it's very broad, but we're talking about changes that are also happening in each of our lives.
Why is it important at this time for humanity to embrace the energy and teachings of the divine feminine?
Yes, so for very long now, millennia, humanity has really been emphasizing the masculine and the masculine force and the masculine dominance in our civilization. And it is time, as a part of this evolution and shift that we're talking about, to move to a more heart-centered way of thinking and way of living. And you can also see it as a more right-brained way of living. So we're talking going back to more intuition, to more flow and creativity, and to deeper ways of trust, and a renewed connection and love for music, for movement, for nature and animals around us. So you notice a lot of these things, although we're talking about the rise of the feminine, they're not just for women, right? So when we're talking about singing or dancing, and when we're talking about loving nature, let's take something as bird watching. It's not only for women, surely. So we're really talking about essences that in their nature are related to creation or creativity, which by its nature is feminine. So we're not talking about only women being in power, but we are talking about a rebalancing of that spectrum of masculine, feminine into a more balanced, more harmonized way of living within ourselves and with our environment.
Beautiful. In the book, you share a channeling of Hathor, saying you had a connection with ancient Egypt. Did this surprise you?
It really, really did. I know today the whole idea of Egypt and ancient Egypt is so popular that it sounds shocking that it was surprising to me. But back then, it was completely new to me. Although I grew up in Israel, that although geographically close to Egypt, it was not in my frame of reference to know Egyptian gods or goddesses, or to be particularly, I was much more curious about America, for example, than Egypt. So it was never really a destination for me or anything that I was curious about. So I was very, very shocked. The first time I channeled Hathor, I did not know who Hathor was. So the name didn't mean anything to me the first time it came up. So I was very, very surprised. I kind of didn't know how much validity to give to it. As most beginning channelers, I still wavered a lot between trust and what if I'm just imagining all of this. So I was very surprised and I kind of didn't know how to integrate it into my current paradigm. So, like everything else, most of it, everything, I put it in my gray box, question mark, maybe box. And I found that really helpful, especially as a new channeler, but as a spiritual seeker in general, because I want to take it one step at a time. I don't want to make these crazy leaps that I don't even relate to. So I want to stay grounded and discerning. On the other hand, I want to stay open. And one of the things that this journey taught me that I'm constantly being expanded with my understanding. So staying open is so important. So all these different ideas came up that I really didn't know what to do with them. And they all went into my gray box, into my maybe box. And from that maybe box, many, many, many ideas and concepts since then moved to yes and box, if it has to be in a box, or space. Maybe a space is better than a box, especially for the more open yes and. So now, okay, I resonate with this, and of course now it opens 10 other questions.
There have been many new discoveries in Egypt, including substructures beneath the pyramids. What do you think may be found, and do you have a sense of who actually built this?
Yes, so we asked Hathor about it. And so for people who don't know, Hathor was actually an Egyptian goddess. In just a couple of words, we will say that we know the name from ancient Egypt, and through the information that came through me, they say that in that time they actually walked the earth as physical beings. Now, they have information about the construction of the pyramids, and we've asked them even recently. There was these new scans that showed these spiral columns underneath. So we asked them underneath the Great Pyramids and in Giza. So we asked them, and the answers that we got is that, first of all, the pyramids that we see right now are older than mainstream science claims them to be 4,000 to 5,000 years old. In reality, they're 10 to 12,500 years old. And not only that, under those pyramids, there are whole complexes, whole cities, and many, many other pyramids that were built much, much prior, including civilizations that I don't know if they ended their existence on Earth, but I think maybe flourished until approximately 100,000 years ago. So we're talking quite ancient civilizations. Some of them we may consider as Atlantis, some of them we may consider as Lemuria, and some of them we just don't have really names for, as all these names are just to aid human understanding, just like the name Hathor itself. But they do go back much, much further to ancient civilizations that worked with those structures and with the energy of the earth, which is what those structures interact with.
If there is one message you would like readers to take away from Conversations with Hathor, what would it be?
Well, I'm going to start from the end here and say, of course, there are many, many important messages. There are many fascinating messages. But in general, one of the topics that interests me the most and excites me the most is the topic of contact. of extraterrestrial contact, and I'm learning more and more as I go down this journey that contact means much more than contact with extraterrestrials. But at the end of the book, I mentioned that one time that Hathor came through me, they mentioned that just like they were in the physical here on earth during the ancient Egyptian time, they are on the earth in the physical once again right now. So right now, they are back. They are here not only as essences that can communicate with our consciousness and for us to connect with nature and music and everything else we mentioned, but as actual beings or physical enough that we're going to be able to meet with them and interact with them just like we've always dreamed of in terms of communicating with other non-human intelligent beings.
Wonderful. I understand you're planning a trip to Egypt. Tell us about it.
Yes, yes. Next January 2026, I'm taking my first group to Egypt. Our emphasis is going to be sacred sound. So, of course, we're going to visit the Hathor Temple. I would like to spend more time there. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen, and the energy there is absolutely amazing. We're going to go to different temples. We're going to visit the pyramids and the Sphinx twice. We're going to do a sunrise hot air balloon journey over the sacred land. We're going to have group meditations and discussions. I can't wait. This is a trip of my dream, and it's such a beautiful opportunity to share it with other people so they can join me on that dream journey. And as I mentioned, that's going to be in January 2026. Other dates and other destinations will be available, but this is our next Egypt journey.
And how can listeners find out more about the trip?
The best thing is once again to go to my website, yafichanneling.com. That's YAFI channeling.com. And you have all the information there, both on the homepage, but also as you scroll through different events and offerings, you'll find more information there.
Changing the subject a little bit, you bring through messages with the light language. What is the light language, and how do you channel this?
Yes, light language was the most recent addition to my services or gifts or whatever you want to call them, because for years it was too woo-woo for me. I couldn't quite get myself sold on the idea, but Hathor did a good job explaining it over time, adding more layers to my understanding. And also, as I practiced light language, which I will share the definition soon, as I practice it more and more and more, I got the opportunity to hear from other people the impact that it has had on them, how they feel the energy, how it has actual healing impact, which really helped me become more and more comfortable and eventually this huge fan. Now I'm a huge enthusiast of light language. So we use the term light language. Hathor often use the term field tuning. And at least when I do the light language, the entity, essence speaking through me, often is Isis. And the one making the different sounds and tones is Hathor. And they call it field tuning because those different sounds interact with our field, with our energy field as they're being emitted. So the words actually weaves around our spines and creates different patterns and shapes and brings us into further alignment and coherence so we can start vibrating in coherence, first within ourselves, then with each other, which amplifies our energy even more. And the different tones interact with our field in general further allows us to vibrate in coherence and amplify each other. So that's what light language is. And it really sounds beautiful. Sometimes it's just words, sometimes it's sounds. They often channel tempo chants. So it sounds like almost like little songs in this foreign language. So there are different transmissions that can come through that we would still call light language. And if you want at any point, I can always give you a little demonstration.
Would you? Please.
Absolutely. So I'm going to call Isis and Hathor, and let's see what they would like to share with us in a few minutes. Nariatara norostu amayena kakrianita hayena Huromane akaria mono rustianata yena Humariani hiena horustu yena Hukorumane rayo homani raye Huromane akaromonu turustuhuma Hueyane kakrianita rostuyana Kiremaye Hokrunayataraya Humarena karo homaya Hom takrianata rastianu Humakara hayana Hom ha harianika tarastianatara hama Hokuruturu stianatara ayana Hom ham ham.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for doing that.
You are welcome.
And my guest is Dr. Yafi Yair. We'll be back with more after these words on the Om Times Radio Network.
Humanity Healing International is a small nonprofit with a big dream. Since 2007, HHI has been working tirelessly to bring help to communities with little or no hope. Our projects are not broad mandates, nor are they overnight solutions, but they bring the reassurance that no one is alone and that someone cares. To learn more, please visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Imagine yourself being transported to India, to the banks of the Ganga and an ashram in Rishikesh. Visualize that you are welcome to satsang with an American sannyasi who shares the wisdom of her guru. Your visualization has manifested. Join Sattvi Bhagawati Saraswati for inspiration and transformation every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on Om Times Radio.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute? When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you. You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. Like it was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age, everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Bill Maher. I can find humor in almost anything, but one thing I never laugh about is cruelty to animals. If you don't get the joke either, write People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, 501 Front Street, Norfolk, Virginia, 23510.
Back on Destination Unlimited, my guest this week, Dr. Yafi Yair. Is it possible for anyone to connect to their higher self, their guides, and intuitive intelligence?
Absolutely. It's possible for everybody to do it, just like it's possible for anyone to sing. So, can anyone become the next Mariah Carey? No, probably not. Can anyone carry a tune, especially if they put their mind to it and practice? Yes, probably yes. So it's the same thing. I generally like comparing psychic gifts or intuitive gifts to musical abilities because it's very, very similar. We all have some potential, some ability, but we are born naturally with different levels of talent and different levels of abilities. However, if we practice and we apply ourselves, we're likely to get better at it. How much better depends on how much we practice and what's our starting point in terms of our natural talent, but it is possible. Natural follow-up question to that, then, if it's possible, and it's possible for pretty much everyone, then how? What should people do in order to become more connected to their intuition, more psychic, more intuitive? And the best answer is beginning to meditate. Having a regular meditation practice. And for me, regular is close to daily. So yes, it doesn't have to be 7 days a week. Let's say 5 days a week is close enough to daily. But daily or near daily meditation practice, when you take some time to be quiet with your mind, and over time, reach different states of altered states and different levels of consciousness, learn the difference between your own thoughts and maybe impressions that you can get from the beyond, from within, and just generally learning to become a better listener of the subtle senses is best acquired by meditating regularly.
And what advice would you offer someone who is receiving messages and is not sure if they can trust them?
Yes, I first of all know that it is very, very common and very, very normal. Anyone that, especially at the beginning, when you begin developing your intuition and that connection, sometimes it's hard to know, am I making it up? Is it really something that's coming through? So first of all, know that it's very natural to have doubts. It's very natural to have questions. And instead of knowing for sure which one is which generally you develop over time with practice, you become a better listener and you can tell the subtle differences better. Beyond that, what you can know from the beginning is how is this message making you feel? Is this message encouraging, empowering? Is it encouraging you to step beyond your fear and acknowledge your own worth? Is it making you feel better and more expansive? If it is so, I would say go with it for now. If it is not, if for any reason it's capitalizing on your fear or insecurities in any way, if there's any suggestion of any unpleasant action, I would say put a pause on it, take a step back, and allow yourself to revisit it and rethink it after you've got some distance. So instead of not wanting, it's natural to want to know if it's your imagination or reality, if it's your own inner voice, or is it guidance from beyond. Although it's very natural to want to know which one is which, this is a knowing that often grows over time. And at first, what's better to go with is using your own discernment, your own sense. If does it resonate with me? Does it feel like truth? And is it making me feel better, or is it making me feel less than? Those are the main questions you want to ask yourself to determine whether a certain message is true or not, if you resonate with it or not.
Very sage advice, and thank you for sharing that. That was perfect. Thank you.
Excellent. My pleasure.
Please tell us about the services you offer, including holistic counseling and quantum healing hypnosis.
Yes, so my background, as we mentioned at the very beginning, is clinical psychology. I'm a doctor of clinical psychology, and I still offer counseling. My counseling style is holistic. I take the human as a whole, including our spiritual reality, as a part of the journey of our life's journey. And I also believe in a very compassionate and non-judgmental exploration of the self. So that's in terms of the counseling. I do different types of hypnosis still. So clinical, spiritual, including QHHT, where you bring questions to the session and we get to ask your higher self different questions. It can be about your life purpose. It can be about your health. It can be about relationships, about anything at all. I also offer light language. You got a tiny taste of it today, but you can have whole session where we do energy work with you and move the energy also through sound, with sound, and of course, channeling and reading sessions. You can speak to Hathor yourself, or I can give you information from your field, your Akashic record, and you can speak to your own higher self. So many different options, many opportunities to explore the nature of yourself, of your own journey, and really make you feel supported through this exciting and rapidly changing times we're all living through right now.
You also offer past life regression. What is a session like, and what may your clients learn through this experience that will help them in this lifetime?
Yes, so it's really infinite what you can learn through this. So past life regression is using the power of hypnosis, which is a heightened level of focus through deep relaxation. So during the session, we talk about, first of all, we start by talking about what your goals, what you want to get out of the session. It can be anything from you're just spiritually curious and you want to know what else is out there. Maybe it's more specific than that. Maybe you have a specific fear that you've been dealing with and you feel like it's time to let go. So let's find the source of this fear and then let go of it, work through it. Or maybe there are relationships in your life or patterns in your life that you discover that you keep on having, and you want to know the true source of these patterns and how to change them. So whatever your goal is, and it can really be anything that I mentioned and much, much more, we then take that and we start by doing different relaxation, physical relaxation, mental relaxation, visualizations to take you to, first of all, to childhood. Then we often go when you were just a newborn little baby or when you were still in the womb. How did you experience the world when you were in the womb? And there we go to a past life, not necessarily the most recent past life, but to a life that you would benefit from visiting the most. So what experience have you had in another existence that's really affecting your life today and having an impact? And we can look into that. And we explore that other life. We look at different experiences, important occurrences, lessons that may come up, and the connections to your life today. Whether it's new lessons, any purpose, any people that you are still in communication with, in contact today, and look at how we can make your life today have more meaning, more joy, and more love through that experience of other lifetimes.
One final question for today. Will humanity move from fear to love?
Absolutely. This is the journey that we are currently on. And, a lot of people are saying that they're having a hard time right now, but, it's because Earth is a really, really good school. And you cannot go to a good school and expect everything to be easy. So, yes, it's a little bit hard right now, but it's because we're graduating from this very hard school, very good, high level school that includes fear and polarity and dichotomy. So, it's a very hard school, but we're all graduating to the school of love where we can begin really living our life the way we really want to. Most of us want peaceful, loving existence. So that is where we're headed.
May it be so. My guest, Dr. Yafi Yair, her books, Conversation with Hathor and Conversations with Earth. Dr. Yafi, one more time, please share with our listeners where they can get your books and find out more about you and your wonderful work.
To read or listen to Conversations with the Earth or Conversations with Hathor, go to Amazon, or even better, go to my website, YafiChanneling.com. That's YAFI, channeling.com. Write me, stay in touch, join the Sunday group, and just join this beautiful spiritual journey we're all traveling through.
Dr. Yafi, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your wisdom and experience.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on Destination Unlimited. I'm Victor the Voice Furman. Have a wonderful week.